Hi, I hope you're well. I'm just going to begin with a quick recap of where I'd finished off last week. We've just been looking at a payments journal, okay? And just a reminder, again, I've just put in a date here, May. I remembered I should have put it in. And let's say there's a number of items that I need to kind of break it out by. So let's say, for example, I have petrol, okay? And I'm just going to put that, for example, as a laser receipt, laser and description. I'm just going to put petrol travel expenses. Now, let's say this is a scenario where let's say we need to allocate across a number of different vehicles. Don't ask why, but let's say. So the first thing I'm going to put in here is, let's say I'm going to put in, let's say 90. Right? Now the 90 here is what is going to appear on your bank statement. This is basically what's going to go through your bank statement. And then in the next bit here, what we're going to do is just do the analysis of it. So let's say, for example, I have 50, okay, and I'm going to allocate it to, let's say, 21%, and make sure I copy down my formulas, always a good idea. And see that I picked it up, and what I want to do here is I'm going to allocate it to, let's say, for example, project 1, and I'm going to call this, let's say, to petrol. Okay, I want to allocate it maybe to two different ones. And if you look up here as well, you see this red thing up here is telling me, okay, how much I'm out by. So then I come along here, and this is the 40, the amount including VAT. Let's say I'm going to choose my 21% again. Okay, and let's say for this one here, I'm going to allocate it, let's say, to project 2. So with project 2, there it is. All right, and this is also going to be petrol as well. So if you had one invoice, whatever, and you need to allocate it across multiple projects or expenses and so on, that's the way you do it. And this thing up here just will always tell you, are you on track or not? Now, the second thing I want to look at is, so just to recap, that's basically how you add your data to it. Now, the second thing, let's say, is then I just want to see, okay, for example, how much have I spent over the year on, for example, let's say either my expense categories or my project categories here. So in today's blog post, what I'm going to look at is how you do that with a pivot table. All right. And in another blog post next week, I'm going to look at how you do that with, let's say, what they call a sum ifs. Okay. So let me just start here. First of all, click here. I can just select the data. It's a table already, so I should be okay. And I go up here to okay, so I'm just going to look at the data here. I'm just going to appear to table design. I'm going to go to summarize a pivot table, put it on a new sheet, click OK. And let's say what I want to do is basically allocate it by, for example, I'm going to use the total paid, or you can use whatever amount you want to analyze here. I'm going to go down here to assigned to, down here on the left hand side. And I'm also going to just put my months in here. Okay. Now you can see here straight away, it's broken them out across the different months. Me 4475. I go back to my payment journal, and there my ongoing total is 4475. Okay. And then the last bit, then I can just do a right click, value field settings, go down here to number format, say choose my currency, click OK, click OK. Now what I could also do as well, because it's pivot table analyze, pivot chart, and let's say I'm just going to pick, for example, maybe a bar chart this time to make it a little bit interesting, and click OK. All right. So you can see there, I've got all my kind of data going on and so on. Right. Now, if I want to do the same thing, for example, let's say with my expenses, do exactly the same thing, payment journal, click down here, table design, summarize a pivot table, click OK, and I do the same thing again, and let's say, for example, I just pull my total paid, pull my expense category down here, if I want to put the month down here as well. Again, the same thing exactly, right click, value field settings, and go to number format, currency, and OK, and OK. If I want to add a chart, pivot table analyze, pivot chart, and this time I'm just going to go with the one that selects to me, okay, which is here the different months. I can allocate it across like so. Right. So, and again, the thing is that if, for example, I come back here and say, oh, if you look here, for example, I have January, May, August, September, October. If I go back here to my payment journal, I kind of realize, oh, actually, I should have put something else into this. So, for example, if I come down here and say that should actually be 15th of the 9th, And let's say I'm just going to pick one item here. Let's say I'm going to pick in, for example, insurance. And let's say just put down direct debit, insurance. Okay. Now the thing just to note here as well is, see for example, I have the 40 in there. So what I should have done actually is put the total down here so it's on it. So let's say it's 1,000. My September, payee, direct debit, insurance, direct debit, put down building insurance. And let's say, for example, I know VAT inclusive item is going to be 1,000. Let's say the VAT on this is going to be 0. And let's say I'm just going to allocate it to one item here, for example, let's say your accounts. Okay, and let's say I'm going to allocate it then to something else. And let's say, for example, heat and light. Okay, again, just remind you can amend your that one here. Okay, so when I go back here then, so I've added in the 1,000. So if I go back over here now to this one, so remember, see my total here is 5475, and I just go right click and refresh. See there, updates my numbers. And I'm just going to call this expense pivot. And I'm going to call this project pivot. And again, I just do a right click and refresh. But interestingly there, it actually had refresh already for me. All right. So I hope you find this useful. Next week, the plan will be is that I'll look at sum ifs, which is a more complex way actually of doing this, but it can be an alternative if you need it. Okay, mind yourself. Take care. Bye.